So I want to tell you a story about something that I learned back when I was junior, and it was with a colleague. His name was Alex. He's not our CEO, unfortunately, but this guy. So I once worked with a developer. He's named Alex back when I was a junior developer. Alex was daunting task of fixing some really old code in the system that we had. I joined to that team like for 6 months, and I've seen a few experienced developer try and fail and ending up with frustration getting anything fixed in that code. Somehow, Alex made it work. Within a couple of hours, he raised the pull request and it was merged, and there was no harm in the pipeline, and everything was good. As I was a developer, I was actually shocked that he did it so fast. For me, it was like some voodoo work. So I was curious about how Alex managed to handle that task so smooth, like piece of cake. When I asked Alex, Alex paused for a second and simply said, "Headache. I didn't get it." And then he said when he woke up after his sleep, the real key was about not just like fixing the code itself, but understand what is the root cause of that headache from the old system in the first place, and not just like fight against it. This is why things comes easier to solve or work with. And in that exact day, I knew about thing that I learned, which is new type of headaches, which is the legacy system. And I was junior back then, but I understand something about it and how to deal with it. In today's sessions, you would be expecting, well, I will be talking about like how to understand the legacy system, what is actually the legacy system means for every single organization, contextual nature of technology, strategies, and some patterns, and change management down the line, and some long-term consideration that you can think of and ask when you're thinking about the legacy system itself. Most legacy system works even if they are outdated. An enterprise will continue using it because it has a critical part of the business process, and they will be just like keep it there for a long, long time. A system is typically classified as a legacy due some kind of combination. This is from my point of view, but there's other factors that you can think of. But the main one could be the technological obsolescence. A system could be considered as legacy due its outdated or unsupported technology. This could be the underlying physical hardware that is used under the system itself, and the operating system or the application that is no longer updated or supported and patched by the vendor. The system cannot integrate with any new technology. It shouldn't be updated itself, but it cannot handle any other integration with other systems that is required by the business. As the business evolves, and we all pretty know that things changes on the go, their needs and process changes as well. And this is something that we need to be thinking of. The system no longer supports the company current and the future needs and requests and their requirements as the market demands. The processes are slow when you are trying to do something and takes longer than expected, and then you would in any new or modernized application. The system cannot accommodate a growth or expansion. You cannot handle its scale or architecture or anything in it. And the other factor, it is the organizational culture and the processes that can also contribute to the system itself. Resistant to change, lack of expertise in newer technologies, or the presence of complex dependencies. Keeping the system operational is excessively expensive. That costs you more time to maintain it than thinking about a new system. Finding employees with expertise in the system is very difficult. So if you are having a system and you cannot find any expertise that could work on this is like a red flag that there's something wrong in the system and you cannot handle it anymore. Sometimes system value is seen in its stability and familiarity, even its present long-term risks. So if the system is still going and running and up and it's doing its thing, that doesn't mean that it's something good, but the company will keep it. But the risk will be higher as you will be having regularity and compliance that you have to change and apply to the market itself. Some other factors that when you have a data and you want to transfer it somewhere else, when you move to the cloud, back then we had all this hosting provider that was used in like very old or unscalable hardware and software. So you find that it is hard to transfer the data between one to another provider. And of course, the system may not meet the current industry standard and regulation, which is very important for every single business in the market. It's a common misconception that the older technologies are inherently legacy, which is not true. In reality, the term legacy itself is more about the technology, whether it fits the business needs or it does not. An older technology might still, sorry, this is our neighbors. We have to do with it. An older technology might still be the best tool for the business as far as it supports its needs in the market. In many cases, business are drawn by the hype and the trends and the new shiny technology. I've been working on a project that where we were in a hurry to change some new shiny technology, and within 3 months, the new system that we built, it was already legacy because it doesn't really actually fit the business need itself. For instance, I've seen project, and unfortunately, I had developers that were saying this. They always see Python as a new and modern technology that language and could be used. But if we look back into the history, Python was released 1991, while PHP was released 1995. But yeah, so not actually like the old technology does fit or does not fit. Balancing the legacy system with new technologies requires very strict and strong aligning with the business and the long-term decision and the business goals and needs. Being too cautious about sticking with the old system for too long can lead to stagnation and make it hard to stay in the market to be competitive and innovative as well. On the other hand, adopting new, as I just like mentioned, we had a new system after 3 months. It's already a legacy system for us. Adopting new technology too quick without a proper planning can bring risk, which is you spend 3 months, now you need 3 more months to just like roll back. Building on the needs for the balancing the legacy system and the new technologies might require some strategies and pattern. I do have one question. Anyone knows how this is called in English? Fig, correct. So I've been in this field for almost 14, 15 years, and I do always forget about the pattern and the thing's name, so I have to attach it to something. So one of the patterns that I knew about it, which is the fig, that called the strangler fig pattern. So it's basically a strategy or approach for incremental modernization for any legacy system that could be used. It basically looks like this one. So it involves building new system around the old one, allowing you to replace component piece by piece. By component, I didn't mean the UI, but the actual component or the logic business that within your system. This method minimizes the risk, disruption, and continuous functionality throughout the transition between the old and the new system as well. Other thing for handling or working with the legacy system, having a new one, which is start simple by being modular. When I say modular, I see a lot of developer that gets this confused with microservices. But actually being modular is a broader concept that could be taken. It's not specifically the microservices, because you could be doing bad decision by applying the microservices than the modular itself. So start simple. If you're having a database and you want to create a new database or data model, Do you really need, you have to apply the same data model to the new one, or just like you need only a few things that could be applied, just like go with it and try it. If it works, just like go and expand it. And coexistence strategies are also essential for managing between the legacy and the new technologies as well. So this makes sure that the system still runs without any kind of disruption. Some key methods that could be including the API. You can integrate legacy system with a new application. You can keep them running both along together by having some API. By API, this could be anything. Could be SDK, could be REST API, could be HTTP, whatever that is needed for your system. This helps maintaining while gradually shifting between all the new technologies as well. Feature toggle, this is another thing that could mitigate. So you're having feature toggle between the legacy system and the new one. You can turn it on, test it. If it works, just like keep it, go, cut, and shift it to the new one. If it doesn't work, just like shift it, turn it off back, go fix it, and go and continue on this feature toggle or feature flag. And the phased migration approach involves, I also see when a lot of engineers, when they are migrating between legacy system and a new system, they are doing the whole thing all together. So just like have a phased migration, this could be the code itself, this could be the database itself, this could be the interface itself. So go step by step and migrating in phased migration approach. So we've seen some of the strategies. I'm sorry I'm going wrong because I didn't know I have this list. So we've seen this a few strategies and the pattern for modernizing system, which is important. But there is trade-off and challenges that we cannot live without because we think about the things that would just like go easily, but reality, it is not. So there is always something that will face us. So potential issues that could be having the system down or the data loss and operational inefficiencies during the transition. So you want to make sure that you're having a backup plan and you want to make sure if things go wrong, you have to have a strategy for rollout as soon as you can or as you wish. Also, the financial implication of modernization involves the trade-off between high upfront cost and long-term benefits. However, these costs can be outweighed by future savings through improved efficiency, reduced maintenance and expenses. Could be the developer's time. I had this experience with where I worked on a project, and when we had an incident, we calculated how many hours and how many engineers were involved in this incident until it's resolved. And once the incident was resolved, we calculated all these hours and we knew how much we would expect clients that to be paying in that system. And by summing up this, we knew how much money the organization could be saving by having this incident and just like watching and observe our system. So this is something important, and as engineer, you have to sell it out to the business. Maintaining our data system can lead also to accumulating tech debt. So you would be working, but on the other hand, there's something that needs to be maintaining as well. So you would do it quickly. However, you do it quickly so it works, but you are not doing right at the moment, kind of hot fix, as we all love. So you would create a technical debt that needs to be resolved later on or down the time. So you need to be thinking about this one when you transition to the new system as well. Successful modernization is not about the technology. Again, if we look back, that the old and the new technology is not the actual key. It requires like careful change management. So you have written down how we are going to manage these changes. So it is very important to involve all key stakeholders and end user early in the modernization by including them in planning, execution, and you address their concerns and gain their support as well. You need to explain the reasons, set realistic expectation, because we often see there is one piece of functionality in our system, but if I'm new, there could be a few dependencies that I'm not aware of. So I have to go through it and discuss with these stakeholders that's aware of the system and go through it and have some realistic expectation from this transition. Providing through training and ongoing support is essential to have help team adopt a new system and process. Often when I join to the team, I have a legacy system that is running. When I ask my colleague about it, they say, I had no idea how this works. This system was built like 10, 15 years ago. And that's it. And I go to another project. How does this work? I have no idea. This system was built like 5 years ago, and I have no idea how it works. But they actually touched the system. They did some work on the system. So just like they did their piece, and that's it. So if there is no any kind of documentation or any kind of reporting on how this works, this will not help you by transitioning to the new or technology or system. So you want to make sure balancing between documenting and reporting and some support between the legacy and the new system as well. And we need to consider the long-term implication to ensure a sustainable feature. So we don't want to repeat this in the future as well. They say too many cooks spoil the broth. Anyone heard this before? No. Yeah, so this is exactly how it is. They are just like trying to make a soup, and we're having 6 chefs that are trying every single one he's putting. So too many cooks spoil the broth, which is mean as you integrate new technologies, the legacy system setting up, it is very important to set up a new governance framework to help you manage the transition. So you need to establish like governance framework that defines the role, responsibilities, and who makes the decision so it doesn't look like this. Some of the example of this framework could be you have to have assign an executive sponsor to champion the modernization project and provide necessary reports. So you have to have someone that is doing this and only because as an engineer, you would be building the thing and you don't want to worry about the other things that there is someone that needs to be worrying and caring about. I know like that project manager, this seems to be obvious, but if you raise your hand and you said, I want to transition between legacy system and I'm ready to build a new technology or have a new shiny framework and replacing the old one, 90% of the manager will come to you. You're gonna be the project manager as you are gonna see the whole thing and its objectives from the business. So if your manager came to you, just like say, I'm not gonna do it. It's just like have a standalone project manager who's doing it. And the governance board, this is very important as well. So establish a board to review the project process. So it's not only the stakeholder, this could be from the stakeholder, from the engineering, from the other, like the marketing or the sales on the other hand, so they can see the whole process. And you wanna make sure they're addressing any issues that could be raised. Resources, this is very important that you need to have a plan for the skills and expertise that is required to have a new modernized project. You have to have a realistic budget that could be allocated the resources and different projects. So you might have a colleague that could be involved in other projects. You need to be counting on this one. If you have this colleague or specialist that could be on demand, you have to read this up that I can, because physically you won't be working 24/7. So you need to be thinking about this one. Dependency. So you need to be asking like 2 questions if there is any kind of vendor lock-in. So how dependent will the organization be on specific vendor or technologies in the future? So if the legacy system is depending on something that you cannot cut off or rid of, that this question needs to be answered before transitioning into a new system. And can the system be easily modified or adopted a new vendor or changes? So if you are using any kind of open source solution, can that be replaced with ease, or will it require any kind of difficulty or complexity? And what are the long-term costs associated with the maintenance and support in that system? Will the organization need to acquire new skills and or hire additional managed staff? This is takes us back to the point where we was talking about the technology and the expertise that is required. If this system will go like 10 more years, will be serving the business, is this is the same direction as the business itself, or you're building on something and you are offering or proposing something, and the company is just like have another goal or totally different goal. And that's what it is.